Alrighty, hi everybody. So today's rabbit hole is going to be about DigiCert and their need to revoke some certificates. So basically, they discovered the power of the underscore and how small things can make big differences. All right, so first let's start with the credits. Once again, Bleeping Computer. Read the first article there. Had seen some stuff on social media about it, but Bleeping Computer gets credit again for making me want to do a little bit more research on this. So credits include Digicert, the Google support site, CISA, and believe it or not, UTC time. And so the short story is Digicert, which is a company which is considered a certificate authority, is revoking certificates because they overlooked following and implementing a process for creating them. Okay, this doesn't include all certificates. If you are affected, your website, your company or whatever, they notified you. So essentially a process though involves using an underscore and as a prefix, and Digicert overlooked it when they were doing some changes, and it has now affected their customers. So the overall summary, though, is that Digicert is revoking certain certificates due to improper domain control verification, also known as DCV. The issue stems from a missing underscore prefix in the random value used in DNS CNAME-based validations. This affects about 0.4% of domain validations. Okay, so it impacted quite a few customers, even though it doesn't sound like it. So impacted customers need to replace their certificates within 24 hours. This was actually mentioned days ago, so those 24 hours of being notified is already over. The incident did arise from an update in their system. It failed to include that underscore automatically, and here we are. So the preventive measures include consolidating random value generators, embedding compliance reviews in development teams, and increasing test coverage. So this is basically what Digicert probably learned from this and what other companies can try to learn from. Okay, so the problem again originated from an oversight in the validation process. It neglected to include the underscore prefix in some of the CNAME records. Okay, this is required for proper domain control validation or verification under the CA Browser Forum, CABF rules. This issue was identified as part of an investigation into the domain validation process. And the issue or the problem that was created was actually occurred in 2019. Okay, so due to the strict regulations, though, from CABF, Digicert was required to revoke these non-compliant certificates. So they're within the 24 hours of discovery. So this has kicked into gear, and Digicert has actually tried to extend it to 3 more days. And so those 3 days, I think, end August 3rd, which is today. So for critical infrastructure operators unable to complete the process in time, you can try to notify Digicert and see if you can get an extension. And the funny thing is the way that they word the justification. It has to be almost an extreme justification, like, hey, 3 days is plenty of time for any company to work on this, right? All right, so the underscore requirement is specified in section 3.2.2.4.7 of the CABF baseline requirements. This mandates that the random value or request token be placed in a DNS text or CAA record prefixed with the underscore. Okay, this is to help maintain a clear separation between a validation subdomain and any potential actual subdomains, enhancing security by preventing misinterpretations or conflicts in DNS records. So this was implemented to try to avoid challenges and make it a little bit more clear on an actual subdomain versus a validation subdomain. So the timeline was started August 2019. They started modernizing their validation systems. The user experience enhancement project inadvertently fixed the issue on June 11th, 2024. So there are some that are not affected. July 2024, the problem was discovered during the investigation. And then July 30th, CISA actually issued an alert about the certificate revocations as well. And I should have added August third on here because this was an extension that DigiCert tried to extend to their customers to help. So the response, I don't know if this is response or impact. So what you really need to do is replace those certificates within 24 hours. Again, apologies if your 24 hours was 3 or 4 days ago. Okay, DigiCert did offer a temporary delay for the critical infrastructure, and CISA, again, is involved, and they are trying to alert and guide affected parties. So, some of this stuff, you get emails and it says, oh my God, fix this. Sometimes you don't notice it, but if you're monitoring sources like CISA, you might have another chance to pick up on the fact that your certificates have been or are about to be revoked. So DigiCert, what could they have learned from this? They learned the importance of the digital certificate validation process and the compliance of that. And they also learned that testing and review processes are very important. Starting to sound very similar to maybe CrowdStrike, but maybe on a smaller scale, but still impactful to the customers that are adversely affected. And then, of course, clear documentation is always important so that people can go back, figure out things. I mean, this occurred in 2019, and so I don't know what their documentation was, but it may have been difficult or easy to discover based on some of their documentation practices. And so what can customers learn? Well, try to come up with regular certificate status monitoring. There are management solutions out there, kind of automated, or at least, like what I like to call a dashboard that helps you monitor this stuff and will probably notify you of dates and stuff, but also stay informed on industry news and best practices. Try to, if you actually have a system admin that takes care of this, make sure that they stay up to date and that you give them the opportunity and the time to stay informed in their part of the industry. All right, so what else about lessons learned? Implement robust certificate management, which goes back to what we just kind of said. Have regular audits of your secure socket layer and your transport layer security infrastructure. Stay updated on industry standards and security advisories. Again, if you have team members who are responsible for this, give them the time, the resources, and the tools to do this. CA Browser Forum, CABF. So the CA Browser Forum is a consortium of certificate authorities and web browsers dedicated to improving the security and standards of digital certificates and their issuance. It was established in 2005. They develop and enforce guidelines and best practices for SSL, TLS certificates. They also take care of some other certificates, I think. Don't hold me to that. Okay, which are used to secure web communications. The guidelines cover various aspects of certificate issuance, including domain validation, certificate revocation, and security requirements for certificate authorities. What is CNAME-based domain validation, DCV? Kind of throws you off. You would think it would be CDV, but it's DCV, which is domain CNAME-based validation. But the real name of it is CNAME-based domain validation. Okay, it's a method of verifying domain ownership or control using CNAME records. CNAME records map a name to another name and are often used as redirect mechanisms or to store vendor-specific metadata. TLS SSL certificates. So this is Transport Layer Security certificates, most commonly known as SSL. So SSL is Secure Sockets Layer. Okay, it's the foundation of the safe and secure internet. These are connections through encrypting data. So the certificates secure internet connections by encrypting data. It's sent between your browser, the website you're visiting, and the website server. They ensure that data is transmitted privately and without modification, loss, or theft. So request for comments, RFC stands for request for comments. That's which is a formal document that covers many aspects of computer networking and email. RFCs are developed by the Internet Engineering Task Force, also known as IETF, and its committees, and are then reviewed by interested parties. They are the core output of the Internet Engineering Task Force and are considered the technical foundations for the Internet. Okay, so DigiCert is a company. It's a U.S.-based digital security company that specializes in PKI, which is public key infrastructure provision and validation for TLS SSL certificates. Certificate authority. Okay, so a CA, or a certificate authority, is a trusted organization that issues digital certificates for websites and other entities. So DigiCert is actually a trusted organization for digital certificates. Certificate authorities validate a website domain, and depending on the type of certificate, the ownership of the website, and then issue the TLS or SSL certificates that are trusted by web browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox. There's some other ones now, Arc, DuckDuckGo. Thus, certificate authorities help keep the internet a safer place by verifying websites and other entities to enable more trust in online communications and transactions. So it's important to have these certificates, and when you don't, it would be something like your browser might not allow you to look at it. And so it might block it indirectly, or you might get some kind of warning that says, don't trust this website. Here's some acronyms that were in the articles that I read. I won't go through all of them, but I'll skip through. So CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agencies. CNAME, canonical name. CRL, Certificate Revocation List. DNS, Domain Names System. NS, Name Server. OV, Organization Validation. Let me go back down a little bit further. SSL, Secure Sockets Layer. TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. TLS, Transport Layer Security. UTC, Coordinated Universal Time. And UX is User Experience. So UTC is a time, and so everyone's on a different time. So like I'm on Eastern time, so I have to look at the UTC time and coordinate it with, and combine it with figuring out what time it really means to me if I'm on Eastern. Special notes: those who haven't replaced their certificates should email the following email address, which is delayedrevocationrequest@digicert.com. And please provide your Cert Central account ID, the exceptional circumstances that require the delay, and your planned completion date. And notice that the original information that I got was from Digicert, and it said no later than Saturday, August 3rd. And so that time is today, and so I'm not really sure how that's going to work, especially for people who don't know. RFC 1034 is an introduction to the domain name system, and it omits many details which can be found in a companion RFC domain names implementation specification, which is RFC 1035. So read this one if you want. It's a little technical, but it will help you understand the domain name system, and then maybe go to RFC 1035 to learn a little bit more about the implementation and specs. So what are some of the recommendations? Again, just what we said. Replace your certificate as quickly as you can. If you're unable, request a delay through the email listed here. And that is your DigiCert discovers the power of the UnderScore rabbit hole. There is a lot more to this. It's very interesting. If you can grasp the concept of the domain names system and the process, this is very interesting. You can play on your browser and look at your certificates for various websites. It's a huge rabbit hole to go down. Sorry to hear that DigiCert has this problem. Happy that they discovered it, and hopefully they can help people fix it. And we'll wish them luck and everyone who is affected by it. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.